Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsman Online Media Network.
One of the things I like about the working tools that they use in the European jurisdictions for the first degree, namely the chisel, is that the chisel has, in some ways, a generative component. The idea that a focused and educated mind is part of how you should direct your effort. The ritual in my jurisdiction is completely absent of any mention of the chisel, at least in the first 3 degrees. And so when you look at the working tools of a Freemason in the enter-apprentice context, there really isn't, strictly speaking, a generative capacity, right? The gavel is a removal tool that removes rough edges. The 24-inch gauge is as a scaling tool for you to essentially evaluate time expenditure, relative time expenditure, and essentially remind you that the time you have should be managed because it is limited. So when you start to look at this as an editor apprentice and you walk through that kind of mindset, you're looking for like, well, okay, this is great. This helps me get a little bit more focused and a little bit tighter about how I spend my time and what sort of things I need to remove from my behavior set that may be holding me back. But it really doesn't talk to deficits. And this is one of the places where the Masonic symbolism, I would say falls down, but is missing, I think, some meaningful insight, because there is a need for the individual to determine when they have a behavioral deficiency or a skill deficiency, or even they want to pursue a goal or an objective, and they need to close a gap to achieve that objective, an education gap, a fitness gap, whatever that gap might be. So as you go through here and look through the degrees, you don't find a ton of that, because in the context of fitting stones into place, there's not a ton of context for adding stone, right? So you might find, and here's something that I'm looking for in the event that you hear this podcast and have some insights. I'm interested in finding out more from you guys what other Masonic symbols out there do have a generative component, something that is additive, or an additive insight. Because my jurisdiction doesn't include those, certainly in the first 3 degrees, I am looking for more insight and information. But with that, I think it's important too, as a man, as you go through the Enter-Apprentice Mason's degrees, as you go through your work, to identify what's missing from your day-to-day approach, and then create a plan to fill that gap.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone, and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com. and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.